Well, hello. Welcome to this week's Embodied cooking class, which I'm actually taking in advance because I'm away this week in Canada. But welcome to this slightly odd situation. Today we're going to be making maple chipotle campfire cornbread. I'm looking forward to it. It's a little bit of a baking one, so it'll be a little bit more chill. We're just going to mix up the ingredients, get it in the pan, and then I'm going to lead you in a short meditation and while it bakes, and then we'll pull it out and look at it together. Okay, so before we begin, let's do our usual check-in with ourselves and a short breathing exercise. Let's come back to the Veloma breath. That is the breath where we breathe first into the first bottom third of our lungs, the second, and the third. So we split our lung into three areas that we imagine. They're real, of course. And we pause in between. So we go breathe, bottom, pause, middle, pause, and top. All the way to the top, really opening up, filling up. And then we pause, and then we release. All at once. Understood? Let's do three of them together. Bottom, pause, middle, pause, top, pause, and release. Again, bottom, pause, middle, pause, top, pause, and release. Just letting it all go. And last one for this side, bottom, pause, middle, pause, and top. Pause and release. Now we're going to switch. So we're going to breathe all the way in. Take an inhale all the way to the top. Pause. And then release the top. Pause. The middle. Pause. And the bottom. So this time we're working more with the exhale. So inhale, pause, and exhale, top, pause, middle, and the bottom. One more. Inhale. And exhale the top, middle, and the bottom. Wonderful. Let's bring our hands to heart center and just set our intention for our time together this morning. All right, let's begin. So you're going to need an 8x8 pan. I really do recommend using this just because it will turn out just right this way. You can use something round. You can use a slightly larger or smaller pan, but you may have to adjust the cooking time a little bit. So using the size of pan that the recipe calls for just always simplifies things if that's what you're looking for. Of course, you can still make it work with all kinds of things. You will just have to adjust. So I'm buttering the pan to prepare it so that we can easily get the cornbread out. And I happen to have a little bit of butter here. I also often, this is a trick that someone smart taught me one day, is to take the butter wrapper, and you know how we always have a little bit of butter left over, just keep those and use that to butter the inside of the pan. And that way you actually don't even have to use the butter. You're just using whatever is left over there. So that's done. I'm going to set that aside. And I'm also going to set the oven to 400. 400 Fahrenheit. And now I'm going to grab some bowls. I'm going to start by measuring out the dry ingredients into this large bowl, and then I'm going to put the wet ingredients into another bowl, and I'm going to pour them on top. And because we can, I'm just going to really do this slowly and relaxed. Grabbing my measuring cups, which I didn't put out earlier. So we have 1 cup all-purpose flour, which I have right here. And it's one of those sort of good baking practices. I am actually not doing it, but to pour the flour into your measuring cup so that it doesn't sort of compress the flour. It's to get really exact measurements. And you can do also, if you are really into baking, getting a kitchen scale and using weight instead of these types of measurements is also a way to get really exact, really lovely, precise results. This recipe is by me, and I know that it's meant to be really, really flexible, so I'm not worried about it. But if that's something that you enjoy, sort of that kind of precision, I just want to encourage you. So 1 cup of all-purpose flour and then 1 cup of cornmeal. So like flour doesn't have much of a smell, but it is there. And cornmeal is sort of similar. There's something. Just about a cup, a little bit over. Look, I'm being very precise. One tablespoon of baking powder. Big one. I've been in quite a hurry the last few days. A lot of plans changing and things happening at the last minute. A lot of things I'm anticipating, changes that are occurring but have not yet been settled. And honestly, it's left me feeling just like I'm holding a lot. It's not actually bad. It's just there's a lot of stimulation, a lot of threads, that are out there that have not been. Oh, there's a lack of oh gosh, what's the word? Like closure, I guess. There's all sorts of things that are uncertain, and that's, 1 teaspoon of salt. That's actually kind of normal, isn't it? That's the thing about life when we lead busy lives. Which, when we say busy, busy doesn't necessarily mean good. And I think a lot of us are used to being busy in a way that is not that enjoyable. But when you're busy, it means your life is abundant and rich and full of the things that you want to do. And that comes with sometimes a lot of stimulation and some uncertainty. And so learning to build like a nervous system and a mind that can kind of tolerate all the uncertainty of doing a lot of different projects, having a lot of different things going on, a lot of different people in your life, depending on you in different ways, and you and your own excitement driving all these things means just that you have a lot of those things going on, and often you can find yourself in that situation. And so finding, I think, these like quiet moments to just see how you're doing is really, really important, at least for me, for sure, I will say. So we have our dry ingredients. Now I'm going to set that aside and we will work on our wets. So I do have my recipe just out here in front of me, by the way. I tend to have them sort of memorized, but with baking recipes, I really do like to be able to refer to them. Even the ones that I've made, I don't memorize them all. So we need half a stick of butter, 4 tablespoons, and it's melted. So I need to melt that in the microwave. So I have my butter over here. There, that should be, actually, wait a second. Yeah, 2 of those. There we go. And I'll get that in the microwave. And what do we need next? 2 eggs. Okay. And 2 large eggs. It's very standard. Almost every recipe, every baking recipe, we use large eggs. When you get the other eggs, like medium or small, of course, you can just eat them. Make them into an omelet or anything like that. But for baking, you always want to use large eggs unless otherwise specified, because that's pretty much the standard. And that'll be the right amount of liquid. Okay, melted butter and eggs. The beginnings of a hollandaise sauce, if you want to know. Butter and eggs. Whisk that together. And then now we need milk, corn. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to, just so that I don't have to, yeah, milk, it's fine. I'm scattered. 1 cup of milk. I tell you, that's the truth. When that's the thing that you accept when you're busy and you have a lot of things outstanding. It's you do become a little scattered. And I will say for myself, I can be very unforgiving with myself about being disorganized and scattered. It's something I've always really admired in other people. Ooh, our oven is ready. Being really organized. And it's something I struggle with. I really do. It doesn't come naturally to me. And so when I find it difficult, if I'm disorganized, it's not a good feeling. And so then I sort of blame myself in addition to having to deal with whatever is going on that's making the disorganization happen. And so I really work on not beating myself up when I get a little bit scattered, because it always means it's just like you have a little bit too much going on right now. That's it. It's not a character flaw, I don't know if that resonates for any of you. I think it's definitely something that in particular when you are socialized in our world, as a woman in particular, there's something, women tend to be praised for being organized and efficient. There's this whole sort of the moms plan everything. And so if you struggle with that, like I do, with being organized and looking ahead and doing a lot of things at the same time, you might feel a little bit deficient sometimes. And you're not. You're not. I'm really saying this to myself today. Whoop, whoop. We have 1 cup of corn. Yum. Corn in the cornbread. So funny because it is, cornbread is made with cornmeal. Definitely doesn't have to have sweet corn in it as well, but why not? It's delicious. So we have that, and then we have a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. I'll measure that out. Just to really amp up the sweetness. We got the sweet corn, we got the maple syrup, and now to balance that out, we're going to add. I don't have a can of Chipotle and adobo, so I do have this Chipotle sauce today, so that's what I'm using. So I'm just going to do a few squirts and kind of eyeball it. Wonderful. And I think that's all we have for that. I'll just give this a little mix. Ooh. The Chipotle. Oh, yeah. The smells are really happening now. The maple syrup has this rich depth to it. It's not just sweetness. What's cool about this, sweetness is delicious. We're so naturally, we love things that are sweet. It's how we're built. It's in our DNA, and it's wonderful. And so sort of simple, sugary sweet is great. We do love it, and I don't mean to suggest, but there's something so interesting and wonderful about sweetness with depth that has these sort of bitter notes like you have in maple syrup, and the richness also of the sweetness of corn as well. These things that we don't think of as sweet, like just sugar or candy, right? Which are this sort of simple sweet, but this more complex sweetness. Oh, that's to me very exciting. So I'm just going to mix this until it is one smooth batter. And I'm not mixing it very aggressively, just until the pockets of flour are gone, because I don't want to work the gluten too much. I want this cornbread to be tender. If I work the gluten overly, it will end up being You'll have these sort of big pockets of holes, and it won't be as tender. So I'm trying to do it just enough. Okay, I think we're there. Oh, not quite. Still got some pockets. Oh, yeah. See, look at that. We don't want that. Oh, it smells magnificent. The balance of all the sweetness and the savoriness. And this is healing for me. It really is. The aromas and the gentle way that I'm moving. To be able to do this feels really luxurious, and to share it with you. I don't know if you guys heard that, but there was a horn that just honked outside, which is just kind of funny timing. Okay, so that's that. We're going to get this in the pan. Okay. Just getting the spatula to get everything out of here. I don't lose any of this batter. Wonderful. Awesome. Okay. Smash, smash. I'm just trying to get it into the corner so it's even. And now into the oven it goes. Middle rack, middle of the oven. I'm going to set it for 25 minutes. Wonderful. Okay. And then just to up the excellence of this, I also create a little glaze for the top out of the additions that we added, the flavors, the maple syrup and chipotle. So I think I said about a tablespoon each of these, maybe a teaspoon, but you don't need a whole lot really. And just give that a little mixy. Chipotle and maple syrup. And then when, a little more spice in there. It's very sweet. Yum. We'll brush it on the top. It'll look cute, and you'll just get a little bit more of that flavor intensely on the top. So that's that. And because, so something that you absolutely, I would say sort of is a great choice to do would be to clean up and do your dishes. But I'm not going to make you watch me clean up and do the dishes, even though that absolutely can be done in a mindful way. And I wouldn't mind teaching you that at some point if you guys let me know that that's of interest to you. But until you do, I will not subject you to that. So you can either fast forward to the end now, or what I would love the most would be for you to join me. I'm going to angle the camera and sit on the couch, and I will lead us in a 20-minute meditation because that's the time that we have together. So I'm going to start doing that. I will just see you over there in a moment. Honk. Okay, so I invite you to just find your comfortable seat. Oh, whatever that means for you. You know, sitting maybe with your back supported is always a really, really good choice. I've been working on my meditative seat for some time now. And so for me, sitting cross-leg is really nice. I'm able to really sit with my sits bones planted, my spine elongated, and it makes me feel like this beautiful antenna reaching up to the sky, feeling all the goodness come in. It really is a feeling that that's a real feeling, and that's why we sit this way traditionally in meditation. And so it's something to work with if that is of interest to you. Otherwise, absolutely just sitting whatever way is comfortable is wonderful. So get comfortable. And maybe just a couple of little neck stretches. Just leaning the neck to one side and the other. Be taking the opposite hand. And just not pulling, but gently giving pressure. Be stretching this arm out to feel the stretch from the ear all the way into the shoulder. And just breathing gently. But consciously. Sort of sending our breath to where we're focusing our energy. And now let's switch to the other side. If there's any discomfort, just allow it to be there. And for me, my neck is so tender all the time, and it's really an act of witnessing it and accepting it. And sometimes that can release. That can kind of loosen things up, just that. Also just being aware, my neck is a place of a lot of strain and tension. It's where I hold a lot. So many of us do. Maybe we'll just do a couple of rotations. Not going so far back that we're straining the throat, but just gently bringing our chin as close to our chest as we can in a big circle. And started out sort of going to the left and breathing as you go. And now we're going to switch sides, bringing it to the right. Inhaling and exhaling. And bring it back to center. And you might notice now that we've moved our neck kind of in space that where you hold it along your spine has now changed just the tiniest bit. You're really a bit more centered now. So let's notice that this line of our body from the tip of our head going straight down through the center of us, down to our pelvic floor, the very base of our spine. You can feel that and allow your musculoskeletal system, your joints and bones, all of it, to just rest on that. Let it sit comfortably. And if it can't sit comfortably in that position, that's because of the patterns of our body that we get used to holding ourselves often tight in low back and mid back, shoulders. There's so many places that stop us from that. And it's so normal. So do not for 1 second beat yourself up for it. But just know that this is happening in your body, that your body is compensating for it, working so hard for us all the time. And if there's any way that we can give our body a little bit more of what it needs, whether it's some more movement, some more counter movement to the things that we do more frequently, like sitting. So finding more ways to open our chests up, work with our low back, twist, all that kind of stuff. Yoga, obviously. But any of those things, we can give our body a little bit more of that. But we'll feel better. And that is good. That is what we want. We want to feel good. So let's sit now and just notice where we're at. And allow the mind to be exactly where it is. But the goal is to slow down, is to slow it down, slow it down. And that may mean letting it race itself out, like we would release our dog at the dog park, let it run around, get it all out. But that means that consciously, as it's running its way around, our mind is going so quickly that we don't go into it with it. We just allow it to run. And witness it with love, the way we would our dog. And as your mind is running, or maybe it's already nice and slow, wherever it's at, allow that to happen and bring your awareness to your breath. Allow your breath to mirror the slowing down that we want for the mind. Slow inhale and slow, even exhale. And as the body goes, the mind goes. It's so incredible to witness the power that we have, actually, when we can feel so powerless sometimes with the anxiety or sadness or anger, fear that we experience in our mind, our emotions, and the way that that can turn into stories and bigger things in our mind. But we have this power that as we slow down our body and we bring our awareness to our body and our breath, the mind follows. The mind wants to be calm and still too. You just have to really give it permission. Feel the gentle flow of your breath as it interacts with your body. You can feel the breath. You can feel your breath in every corner of the body. This is not a metaphor. This is true, felt experience. You just have to be quiet and still enough to feel it. And when we are there, we can then go deeper. We can go beyond the thinking mind. To witness something that is impossible to express with words, but that we know is good. That really is who we are, what we're made of. So let's go there together. Let the quiet, let your body lead you there. It knows exactly how to get there. Now soften the breath a little bit. Just allow it to be whatever it needs to be for you to continue to stay in the quiet, to choose the quiet. To know deep in your bones that staying in the quiet is what is right for you, not chasing after some sparkly thing in the mind. But the gold is really right here. Now soften the breath again. And bring your gaze to the space just there in front of you. With all your focus. Focus on just that spot for 1 minute, starting now. Now gently bring your hands to heart center. Namaste. You can open your eyes. We are going to have a beeping interrupting us pretty soon. In my home, I'm experiencing the smells of the cornbread. So what I'm going to do is just bring our camera back over. Okay. Hopefully that is right. That's okay anyway. And we have oh yeah. It looks good. And let's just make sure that the center is cooked. It really looks quite good, but let's just make sure. Yep, we are good. This came out clean. There's no any wet bits clinging to it. So now we'll just brush the top. Oh. It smells so heavenly. And then adding this, because it's hot, so it like, ugh. Oh. It's making a tiny sizzling sound because there's so much heat. And then we have this syrup that I'm adding. Oh my gosh. Pretty special, actually. Wow. Oh man. I wish you could all smell this. Well, I hope that you're making it so that you are smelling it. Wonderful, wonderful. This is it. I'm not going to cut it up because it needs to cool in the pan before we eat it, but I know it will be wonderful. It smells incredible. And thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for being a member of this wonderful club and developing this beautiful practice with me. I hope that it's as nourishing for you as it is for me. Please let me know any suggestions you have or anything more that you'd like to learn, whether it's a recipe or a concept, anything of the sort. Thank you so, so much, and I will see you next time.